She said it while her wine glass was still lifted. "We're ashamed of you." Then she laughed, one of those sharp, brittle laughs she used whenever she wanted to cut someone down, confident no one would dare call her on it. The table followed her lead with weak, uneasy chuckles, eyes flicking around, forks suspended in midair. The crystal centerpiece caught the light, and all I could hear was the faint clatter of silverware trying, and failing, to smother the heavy silence that pooled afterward. I didn't react. I just looked at her. Her lipstick was too bright, her smile stretched too tight. She looked exactly the way she did the night she told me I'd never become anything. But this time, I was prepared. There was a time I adored her. When I was 8, I drew her with crayons and declared she was my hero. She taped it on the fridge, beside my brother's soccer medals. By morning, it had vanished. "It was crooked," she said, tossing it into the trash. That was the pattern. My brother shined, my sister floated gracefully, and I was the difficult one, the quiet, stubborn disappointment who refused to smile when being reprimanded. She called it tough love. I called it conditioning, the kind that forges armor out of affection withheld. When I got my scholarship, she said I'd lucked out. When I bought my first apartment, she warned, "Don't get ahead of yourself." And when my startup folded, she simply sighed, "I told you this would happen." But it wasn't until I overheard her at a family gathering that something inside me finally split. "She embarrasses us," she murmured to my aunt. "She thinks she's better than everyone, but look at her. Alone, bitter, a failure." They laughed. And that night I made myself a promise: the next time she tried to humiliate me, she would regret it. What followed wasn't rage, it was clarity. I started paying attention to her stories, her fabrications, her fragile hunger for admiration. My mother was fueled by control and the image of a flawless matriarch. Every holiday she buffed that persona to a shine. The family arrived, her domain, her rules. So I waited, for the moment, for the right witnesses. And Christmas finally came. I showed up late on purpose. She despised that. Everyone was already seated, my siblings, their partners, the usual lineup of judgment. I wore black, simple, confident. She looked me over like she was inspecting damage. "You look tired," she said with that fake sympathy that really meant you looked terrible. I smiled. "It's been a productive year." She smirked. "Oh, so you finally got a real job." Laughter rose, predictable, rehearsed. I let the evening play out. Wine flowing, stories traded. She boasted about my brother's promotion, my sister's engagement, then turned the spotlight on me like a blade. "And you," she said, still chasing those little projects. I stayed silent. Silence unnerved her. That's when she delivered it. "We're ashamed of you." And the room laughed. I rose slowly, napkin in hand, calm, deliberate. The chatter died instantly. "You know," I said, "I used to think the worst thing you could do to a child was ignore them. But it's not. It's pretending to love them while tearing them apart for entertainment." Her smile twitched. "You've spent your entire life making sure everyone knows how perfect you are. But perfection doesn't cry itself to sleep because its children stopped calling. It doesn't drink to stay numb. It doesn't beg for approval from people who can see through the facade." My sister shifted. My brother fixated on his plate. "You said you were ashamed of me," I continued, voice steady. "But the truth is, I stopped being ashamed of you a long time ago." A flicker crossed her face. I leaned in just a little. "You raised us to fear you. But fear fades. And once it's gone, all that remains is pity." Her eyes brimmed. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. The silence did the work for me. "You wanted an audience," I said softly. "Now you have one." The tears came, one slipping free, carving a path through her makeup. She tried to answer, but the words collapsed into broken sounds. The table stayed frozen, no one daring to move. I set my napkin down, turned, and walked out. She called that night. I ignored it. She texted, "You humiliated me." I left it unread. 2 weeks later my brother sent a message, "She won't stop crying." I read it twice, then erased it. I hadn't done it to make her cry. That was just collateral. I did it because she needed to hear the one thing she spent her life avoiding, the truth. Control had always been her language. Silence became mine, and I learned to speak it fluently. Now, every Christmas, I stay away. They still gather, still set a place for me, as if I might walk through the door. But I found my closure that night, watching her face buckle beneath the weight of her own cruelty. That was my gift to her, honest, undeniable, long overdue. And for the first time, I wasn't the one carrying the shame.